We had a shooting in Charlotte, North Carolina, as we have had throughout the country. And it was the police shooting Keith Lamont Scott. And there is a great disagreement as to whether Mr. Scott was holding a book or a handgun. The cops say it was a handgun, but they haven't released the video. By the way, you've got some violence in the streets. It's true. It exists. I'm going to show you some examples of that in a second. If you've got the video of him holding a gun, this might be a good time to show it. In fact, 2 days might have been a good time to show it, saying, hey, really, in this instance, we really did have to shoot the guy. Okay, anyway, so they say he had a gun, and other witnesses say he had a book. I don't know which of those is true. Either way, people started to protest, and then some of it did get out of hand. I told you about that yesterday, and now there's more of that from last night. Let me fill you in on all that has happened, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So Reuters explains a peaceful rally in response to the shooting turned violent on Wednesday as protesters threw rocks and bottles at police in riot gear, smashed windows and doors, and looted stores in downtown Charlotte. Now, the chronology of that is very important. What happened first? We'll get to that near the end. But let me fill you in on all the rest. Officers fired rubber bullets, tear gas, flashbang grenades, and used pepper spray to disperse the crowd. Again, it's important. Did the police use the rubber bullets first, or did the protesters throw the rocks first? Hard to know, but I'll show you some video on it in a minute. Reuters continues to explain protesters smashed windows and glass doors at a nearby Hyatt hotel, whose manager told Reuters that 2 employees were punched. The slogan Black Lives Matter was spray painted on windows. Demonstrators were also seen looting a convenience store after smashing its windows and a shop that sells athletic wear for fans of Charlotte's National Basketball League team, the Hornets. Others set fire to trash cans. I like that they still got love for the city, so they're taking the Hornets jerseys. Okay, and it turns out, though, so first of all, just a little bit of context for you guys. Were the protesters right in the first place that African Americans are disproportionately targeted by police? The answer is yes. A study by the Center for Policing Equity, released in July, shows police used force on blacks at rates more than 3 times higher than for whites. They're not imagining it. The anger is real. Now, I happen to think that some of the anger is misdirected. You'll see some of the pictures here from the protests that then involves some degree of violence. And you see the tear gas that's been fired by the cops. But you also see the smashed windows. And there's a bus that's obviously got some significant damage there. And yes, you see some of that Black Lives Matter spray painted on there, and then the windows smashed as well. So everybody's animated on all sides, and that's appears to be firefighters helping a civilian that they're carrying. Okay, and then there's some literal blood in the streets. Okay, now, I wish that all the protests would remain peaceful. You've got to keep the moral high ground, and you can't fight injustice with further injustice. And you're about to see an example of that in a second. Let's also note that in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where Terrence Crutcher was shot, there are peaceful protests that no one is covering because it didn't get out of hand. They're like, oh, they're protesting because somebody got shot. And Terrence Crutcher was 100% unarmed, had his hands up. There's no question they shouldn't have shot him, and they shot him anyway. Okay, but since there's no graffiti and since there's no smashed windows, not a lot of coverage in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so let's keep it real on what the media focuses on. We gave you long, long stories about Oklahoma. Now this is happening. We're giving you a story on this as well. Now, here, this is video captured in Charlotte that is disturbing. It seems to be young African Americans chasing a white guy into a parking lot and then assaulting him. Okay, now this is part of the story. We'll have the whole story for you, but it's our job to bring you all the facts, and this also happened. Watch. Don't do that. Don't. So that guy didn't shoot anybody. That guy's innocent. Some people might say, oh, what did he say? I don't give a damn what he said. That's like 18 against 1. Don't do that. That's super ugly, super wrong, And if they can spot who those guys were that committed that assault, they should be arrested. So if you're protesting innocents being hurt, I got an idea for you. You shouldn't hurt other innocents. And if you're saying, hey, don't pick on us based on race, which is a great statement and one that I agree with you on, don't pick on other people based on race. Now, do those young guys in that garage represent all the protesters? Hell no. So I want to give you the full picture and give you another perspective. This is before the cops started firing the tear gas and the rubber bullets and all that. Our own Eric Byler was on the scene, and he was there to record what was happening as it happened. Let's watch that.
Fuck them all! For 500 years of oppression!
We came all the way from Raleigh for this shit. Downtown Raleigh, nigga. We came from downtown Raleigh, NC State, nigga.
You approve of your car being a stage? So you're seeing members of the clergy forming a wall to try to prevent any kind of confrontations?
We're just trying to keep the peace. We don't want this to escalate, and we're just trying to keep the peace, keep us between them and them. We have to have peace in here because we're not gonna get anything resolved with violence or anybody else get hurt through this. So we're trying to keep the peace.
Were you doing the same last night?
No, I wasn't out there last night. I woke up to that, but I'm out here tonight because I want to support what they're doing, and I also want to support our officers too because they're all not bad cops. These are streets. These are streets. These are streets. These are streets. These are
So emotions definitely running high in parts of that, but most of that earlier in the night, super peaceful, and they got every right to protest there and saying, hey, this is our community, and I think they got every right to say it's their streets. And so it's all of our streets, don't get me wrong. And I was super happy that we were able to get Eric down there to record that for you guys. And by the way, there's a lot more of that on youtube.com/TYTpolitics, and you should check out all the footage. Now, I do want to show you one part that's very important when things started to get out of hand and Eric had to actually stop recording. Now you'll notice that this barrage comes from where the police were. That is not dispositive because we don't have the shots on tape. We hear the shots, but we don't see exactly where they're coming from. Let's watch.
If there are consequences, bad things will happen less.
I definitely can agree, man.
Shit.
Oh, shit!
We believe that the first wave of people running was because the tear gas was coming from where the police were. As you can tell on the tape, the second one comes from when a gunshot is fired, and then everybody starts to run, and then we had to stop taping. So yes, the tensions are very, very high in Charlotte, but at the same time, Eric says that from what he observed, everything was peaceful, and that at that point, when the tear gas was fired, there were no smashed windows, graffiti, etc., looting, that happened after the tear gas and the police started to move in. So we're open to other eyewitnesses from that area and other reporting from that area, but that's what Eric saw, that's what he's reporting, and so I want you to get the full context of it. Doesn't justify the things that have happened, but understand that there are two things we have to stop here. If you say, hey, don't hit that guy in the parking garage, I'm 1,000% with you. Don't smash the windows, I'm with you. We should end that kind of violence. We should also end the state violence that they're protesting in the first place, where African-American men are being shot by cops disproportionately. That's where the anger and the passion comes from. It's not to excuse either violence. And when one side says, oh, one side kind of violence is fine and the other one isn't, that's hypocrisy on both sides, if that exists. Certainly on the right-wing side, there's the, oh, I can't believe they did that kind of violence in the parking lot. Well, how about the violence where the unarmed guys get shot by the cops? No, that's fine. That's fine. They had to be put down. They didn't listen 100%, so they had to be murdered. But the guy in the parking lot shouldn't be assaulted. No, neither violence should happen. You shouldn't do the stuff there in the parking lot, and the cops shouldn't be shooting unarmed people. That's what's creating the problem in the first place. They're both wrong. Let's get back to sanity. Let's get back to training our cops right so they don't shoot at first sight and so that they actually serve the community. And this is a very disorganized, chaotic way of getting to the answer, and I hope it does get to the answer, and we certainly haven't gotten there yet. But we as a nation have to see that there is tremendous anger and passion in the streets and begin to fix the violence on all sides, including state violence. If you're upset with mainstream media, we have the alternative for you. Come build independent media with us. Your membership powers the Young Turks. tytnetwork.com/join.